I slumped down further into the leather of my couch. My mug of tea warmed my hands as I watched the snow floating by the window. I love this feeling. When it's cold outside, but you're all toasty in your house. I looked back to the Attenborough documentary on the TV. This was the life. Some time passed and I was out of tea. Well, this just won't do, I thought. I pulled myself out of the groove I'd left in the couch and meandered to the kitchen. I glanced out the window as I walked by and noticed that it has turned into a blizzard outside. I got that cozy feeling again. There's no better feeling on a Saturday night. I filled up the kettle, taking care to step over my cat Walter as he meowed at my feet. You're not getting any more food tonight, I said to him. You still haven't finished what's in your bowl and you're fat enough. Naturally, his meowing persisted and I endured it as I placed the kettle on the hob. But before I could turn on the gas, I heard a gentle tapping at my door. Hello, I said, but no answer returned. I took a few steps closer to the door. Hello? Still nothing. I peered out the window to the side and spotted a young couple waiting patiently at the door. They were already looking at me and smiling. Odd, I thought. I didn't notice them turn to face the window. I decided my hands were tied. They'd noticed me now, and my awkward British decorum dictated that I must answer the door, lest I bask any longer in the awkwardness I had created. There goes my cozy feeling, I lamented as I opened the door. I smiled as I stood opposite them. They smiled back. Their skin seemed very pale, unusually so, even in the blizzard. I looked from the man to the woman, not sure who to address. Can I help you? I said, fog drifting out of my mouth into the cold air. The young girl smiled wider at me. Her pretty features were offset by her grimy, misshapen teeth. Yes, please, friend. Our phones have died and we need to make an important phone call. Could we please use your house phone? I didn't like where this was going. Not because they were strangers in my house. Well, yes, probably that, but mainly because I would have to keep up this charade of polite niceties. Sure, I said, come in. I extended my arm to the living room. Thanks, they both replied, and I was struck by a peculiar feeling. They were both white as snow, but no fog escaped from them as they spoke. They took a seat on my couch as I offered them tea. They looked towards each other, apparently unsure if they wanted one. It's not a bloody exam question, I remember thinking as I watched them struggle over the answer. Yes, the man replied, eyes still watching his partner. I didn't dare ask how they take it. I put more water in the kettle and had to navigate the minefield of Walter all over again. He was meowing even more now, and I found it slightly embarrassing. I was tempted to reassure them that I do feed him, but when I peeped to glance at them, they were staring up at me, a slight smile across their face. Yeah, no more conversation than necessary, I decided. I switched the gas on under the kettle and turned back round to face them. Silence filled the room, and I struggled to know where to look or what to do. I stared over to the TV and noticed that the documentary had ended. Perfect, I thought. Icing on the cake. Now it was just a news lady commenting on the countless things going on in the world. So I asked, suddenly eager for a conversation again, "Are you from around here?" Walter continued to meow loudly at my feet. "No," the woman replied. "We're new to the area." She didn't blink as she replied, and both sets of eyes remained glued on me throughout, their smiles the only other certainty. I realized they hadn't asked for the phone yet, and neither seemed close to asking. My stomach dropped a little, and I turned back to the kettle to compose myself. It began to screech quietly at first, but quickly rising, I kept my eyes glued on it, and I felt their stares on the back of my head. I started to feel lightheaded, my senses dimmed. Everything seemed darker and my vision became narrow. I felt like I was in a vacuum, where my house no longer existed. Just me and them in a shroud of darkness. The voice of the news lady broke me from my spell. I heard her words. "Do not open your door tonight. We repeat, do not open your door tonight. They resemble a young couple, but they are not. I repeat, they are not." My stomach dropped. I felt sick. I stared at the steam rising from the kettle as it started to scream. I pictured them behind me, staring. Are they staring? I remember thinking. The kettle screamed louder. What else are they doing? I was too scared to move, and then it hit me. Walter had stopped meowing. When? I couldn't tell. I peeped down at my feet, unwilling to move an inch. He was no longer between my legs. My head began to go faint again. The lights started to fade. The warnings continued to blare from the TV, but more muffled. The kettle screeched, the sound inescapable. Turn around, they said, but I didn't want to. Turn around, they said.